But we live in a society that creates the very thing that it punishes people for.
A lot of people out there are kind of, especially the new with the cost of living, a lot of people are struggling. Looks as if drug deaths might go back up again this year. And it seems to be like what you were talking about earlier, the rise in poverty. They've maybe not got their money for FIFA anymore. The Wi-Fi gets cut off because that's the first thing it's going to cut off rather than feeding people. Mm-hmm. So you're starting to see people coming out back onto the streets, the young team drinking again.
So if you're a parent who's living under the conditions, no knowing how you're going to feed the wains that week, how you're going to pay the bills, and you're a wee boy growing up in that, for example, and I know, just using an example as a wee boy, it's children are idealistic by nature, so they want the best conditions for their mammy, their dad, and he's making fast money, and that wee guy's thinking, my man and dad's skint, they're living under all sorts of stress. They'll sense that, they'll pick up on that, and that makes you, that's strain theory again, it makes you more vulnerable to the idea of, see, that sense of lack creates a vacuum in your life. So the young person might be like, I'm going to sell a wee bit of this, sell a wee bit of that, and I'll put my man's Wi-Fi back on. I'll get my man new telly. I'll get my man new couch.
Which is logical. But this is what this podcast is all about, is to kind of try and educate people on crime and why things happen and stuff. And if you're living in that environment and you've not got Wi-Fi, but your pal's got Wi-Fi, your pal's got Gucci, but you've got whatever kind of make, you're going to want the same make as him. This basically causes like perfect grounds, if you like.
It creates envy.
Aye.
So you start comparing yourself to your pals.
Aye.
So what's it like for the wee boy who's grown up in the housing scheme? His ma's heroin addicted, his dad's off the scene, his ma spends all the money on feeding the addiction. She does her best to meet the needs of the kids, but they don't get the Gucci, they don't get the nice trainers, and he's looking at his pals who have got two parents at work, and he's gone to school with that sense of separation, like comparing himself to them, and he gets the opportunity to sell a wee bit of cannabis that will enable him to buy that stuff. That's what leaves you vulnerable to it. But we live in a society that creates the very thing that it punishes people for.